Good evening. My name is Jorge and today I have chosen to speak about a few violations of the international human rights in the current government of Cuba. For those of us who are unaware where exactly Cuba is located on the map, it is an island country located approximately 90 miles south of Florida. In January 1959, a so-called People's Revolution triumphed in Cuba. Shortly after, a man named Fidel Castro began to declare himself leader of the triumphant revolution and proclaimed himself dictator, where he and his brother Raúl Castro remain to this day. Now, before we begin to discuss the violations of the human rights, it is my duty to first inform you of the conditions that arose suddenly in Cuba. Cuba experienced discontent previous to 1959 with a dictator named Fulgencio Batista. Batista and his government were the cause of the revolution that followed. However, under no circumstances did the Cuban people ever intend to trade one dictator for another. As the revolution began to entail a discontent country, several groups began to arise. Amongst them was Fidel Castro's group named El Movimiento del 26 de Julio. As we all know, the government was eventually overthrown and a change of government took place. The independent groups that had once been working together successfully for the well-being of Cuba were now apparently working to re-establish the Constitution of 1929, which called for the republic and free elections of our government. On the other hand, recently appointed Prime Minister Fidel Castro was secretly engineering the implementation of a totalitarian government, and in May 1961 declared Cuba's government nothing less than a communist government. These actions caused even greater discontent, principally amongst the groups that had helped put Fidel Castro in his position. During the years that followed, Fidel Castro's totalitarian government has violated countless inalienable human rights. However, to my surprise, little has been done to correct these issues. Today I would like to document that this government has violated at least 7 of the international human rights. These violations include Articles 5, Articles 10, Articles 13, Article 17, Article 18, Article 19, and Article 21. I will briefly describe the article and support my accusations with a point in history that can be referenced. Although I will not reference my articles chronologically, I will do my best to reference them, to state them in chronological on the timeline in which it occurred. Firstly, I shall begin with the first violation of Article 21, which states, "The will of the people shall be on the basis of authority of government. This will be expressed in periodic elections universally and will equal suffrage that shall be held by the secret vote or by equivalent free voting procedures." In my opinion, this is the first violation of human rights in Cuba. This right has been violated since January of 1959. Furthermore, ridiculous elections that have been held which illustrate Fidel Castro as the only candidate to be elected. Second, the Cuban government has violated Articles 18, which states, "Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. This right includes freedom to change his religion or belief, and freedom either alone or in community with others or in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance." In the month of September 1961, Fidel Castro declared that all counter-revolutionary priests are to be expelled from Cuba. He ordained 130 priests, including a bishop, to get on a boat and exile them to Spain. Thirdly, Article 17 clearly states, "Everyone has the right to own property, alone or as well as in association. No one shall be arbitrarily deprived of his property." In 1960, Fidel Castro's government seized all foreign-owned land and declared all properties property of the state. Fourthly, Article 18 declares, "Everyone has the right to freedom of thought, conscience, and religion. The right includes freedom to change his religion or belief and freedom, either alone or in a community with others or in public or private, to manifest his religion or belief in teaching, practice, worship, and observance." However, in 1962, the government of Fidel Castro seized and shut down more than 400 Catholic schools, charging that they spread dangerous beliefs among the people. Fifth, Article 10 affirms that everyone is entitled in full equality to a fair and public hearing by an independent and impartial tribunal in the determination of his rights and obligations, and of any criminal charge against him. This article once again is proven not to be upheld under the Castro regime. I'm not 100, but 1,000, not 100, but thousands of political trials. However, one in particular will be utilized to make evident this accusation. The trial of Uber Matos, whom was accused of treason, is a prime example when the High Court found him innocent and charged Fidel Castro's brother. Raúl Castro was noted to reply, "Uber Matos is a traitor and he should be shot." However, Fidel Castro himself attended the court hearing and ended the discussion by stating either Hugo Matos is a traitor or I am a liar. Needless to say, Hugo Matos' sentences was dictated immediately and sentenced to 20 years. My sixth point is Article 5, which proclaims no one shall be subject to torture or to cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment. Despite the difficulty of providing this article due to the limited access to the prisons during the 60s and 70s, there are still a few out of thousands of cases documented by the UN. The Council of Human Rights Reporters of Cuba has documented 21 deaths in prison in 2009 due to denial of medical attention and/or psychological harassment. My seventh and last point is Article 19, which asserts that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression. This right includes freedom to hold opinions without interference and to seek, receive, and impart information and ideas through any media and regardless of frontiers. This article has been violated practically since 1959. Cuban journalists and authors have been forced to flee the country in exile due to criticism of the government and in particular Fidel Castro. Cuba was the second biggest prison in the world for journalists in 2008, second only to the People's Republic of China. Inter-American Press Association reports that repression against independent journalists, mistreatment of jailed reporters, and very strict government surveillance limiting the people's access to alternative sources of information are continuing. In my opinion, all of these aforementioned violations should be of great concern to all members of the United Nations, in particular the United States. As a primary financier and a founder of the UN, the US should take immediate action in denouncing these hostile violations against the Cuban people. The international human rights were proposed in order to secure the inalienable rights that are inhabitants of this earth. Today, it has been my pleasure to inform my audience of the cruel acts that have been and continue to be ignored in the current government of Cuba. Thank you very much for your patience and have a great night.